Irish, only 6 million. Russian, 150 million.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us for this latest preview show of It's Not Cage Fighting. My name is Karl and I'm joined as ever by my special guest, Mr. Tim Close.
Hello.
And Mr. Max Grant.
All right.
Now, obviously this is one of the biggest pay-per-views coming up. It is UFC 229, which will be taking place on Saturday. And it's a pretty big one for, let's be honest, one reason only. There's some Irish guy fighting at McCulloch or something like that. Does anyone know his name?
Yes, I definitely. I mean, a lot of people go on about him saying, oh, the McGregor fans are back out now again, and they've criticised him because they say they don't watch UFC any other time but when he's on. But at the end of the day, it's good for UFC in total. It brings he brings new fans to it that then might watch the fight card and go, oh, do you know this is actually pretty good, this, and then I think he is good for the sport in certain ways.
I think you're going to get in every sport though, aren't you? Like, you've always got that kind of, not glory supporter, but you're going to get people that come in for the big draw. Yeah, you're going to get the big draws coming in, but let's see what he does. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
And I think as well, the big appeal as well is he's facing arguably his toughest opponent yet, Khabib Nurmagomedov, 26-0, a lot of hype surrounding him, especially his wrestling. Of course, we'll be discussing this fight in a lot more detail later on in the show. But first and foremost, we need to talk in general about 229, which it's an important one as well for the UFC because buy-weight figures haven't been all that great this year. I think the figures for 228 came out a couple of days ago, and that was something like 120,000 for the Darren Till pay-per-view. So
quite poor, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Quite poor, and there's been quite a few of them. Obviously, I think 224 didn't even break 100,000. So
wow. Yeah, I had a feeling that Darren Till fight might.
They've needed this, haven't they? Definitely.
See, now, would you say that's because of Woodley?
I think that would have played a big part. Till is quite an unknown figure to most American viewers, but I do think Woodley's
Woodley's not the most charismatic character. Do you know what I mean? For me, he's not a draw. For me, that fight would have been the Till that brought
UFC should be
me
big enough now, though, to be drawn more than that, regardless.
They should be, yeah. They should be.
And it brings up a big question, which is there maybe too much of an over-reliance on these sort of superstar fighters, the Conor McGregors or the Rondas before him or the Jon Joneses, that the new owners are only looking at those huge names and want that all the time?
You can't help that. I think that's just literally, it's fan based, and that's why when the UFC do get these big names, they look after them so much because they do need them to pop up every once in a while. Yeah. They could do with them fighting on every fight card to get the ratings.
But I feel like even like before we were discussing about the older fighters and the amount of talent or some of them earlier
There's
episodes.
too many coming through now, and it gets to the point where people get overlooked because there's that many, and then there's too many coming and going. They're getting a fight chance to go, and they're getting someone else getting a fight chance, and they're not cementing the place in the UFC.
But you know, I think that kind of era, there was, I don't want to say superstars because they weren't all superstars.
Everyone was on a similar level.
Everyone was on a similar level, but they were not household names, but in the UFC and MMA world, they were names that you knew.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of, and that's the growth. There's a lot of names you don't know. There's a lot of fighters where
it's like
superstar appeal is what's bringing them in.
You don't know a lot of them, you know what I mean? And it is just getting, this is maybe the downfall with it. It was the fastest growing sport in the world, and I think now it is getting that big. It is getting to the point where you don't know everyone all the time.
So we're going to be using this first couple of minutes as well, before we really get into the pay-per-view in a bit more detail, to talk about some of the big news stories that's happened over the past month. And there's a big one involving a certain Jonathan Dwight Jones as well. Of course, suspended by USADA after UFC 214, he was stripped of his title. The news came through over the past 30 days that he would be receiving a 15-month suspension, which involves a lot of information passing between himself and USADA based on the reports we've been reading.
Some people call that snitching.
I was just trying to be polite.
I'm not saying I call it that, but I'm a massive fan of Jon Jones, and I still am shocked that he's coming back, because how many chances do you get?
He's young. He is. I mean, he'll not want to look back when he's 40 odd year old. Think I should have been doing that. I think this is his last chance now. Like he's got to keep himself right now. Got to be.
And the thing is, like I say, how I love him. He is the greatest talent that's been in the UFC. But how many chances do you get? I'm really excited to see him back.
But do the UFC not need him?
I think at this time and time of state they do.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, it is only Conor and then Jon Jones in terms of big superstar signings now.
Yeah. So there we go. That could also have helped the reduce of the ban.
And that's the thing I've said before. People like Conor McGregor, people like Jon Jones, even people like Silva in the past, their punishment's a lot more lenient and they get away with a lot more because
Definitely.
they're the thing that's bringing the money in.
Do you think it hurts the perception of USADA that they can sort of easily be swayed like this? That because you are a bigger name, you can...
A little bit. If I was a lesser fighter and I got more punishment than that, then yes, I would definitely call them a bit frauds, if you like. But you know, it's not sometimes. It's what you know, isn't it? And who you know. Sorry.
But does that mean they're going to give that sort of opportunity to other people who've been back? Because remember Brock kind of went through it.
Yeah.
Did he get offered that kind of deal?
Well, wasn't there something with Vadum as well, where he got something like a 2-year suspension recently?
Well, I think it's a lot more is going to happen now, where these fighters are kind of putting the names in of other people they know who are maybe taking stuff.
And of course, when Jon Jones does finish his sentence, it will be just in time for UFC 230. A lot of people putting 2 and 2 together to make 5. A lot of people speculating that Jones could be main eventing that. This has been one of the big questions for a long time. Who is headlining that show?
I don't know, but it won't be Jones.
It can't be.
I can't see it being Jones. I really, unless they know something we don't know, and it's already been in the works and it's already made out, and they're just going to announce it later. I can't see it being Jones. Who it's going to be, I don't know either.
Well, a lot of the stories going around, there was a rumour that they could be doing an interim title between Yoel Romero and Alexander Gustafsson. Diaz versus Poirier is currently the core main. A lot of stories that might get bumped up to main event status. A story that's really sort of been building momentum over the last couple of days is that it could be Brian Ortega versus Max Holloway.
Okay.
That fight was planned to take place in December. Hope is that they might try and move that forward to MSG. A lot of people thinking that because they've just booked Joanna versus Valentina, which I'd assume would be moved to the main event if Ortega Holloway happens at MSG.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like a lot of those fights. I'd like to see. The Brian Ortega Holloway one would be an absolute.
I am so
awesome
looking forward
fight.
to that.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable. Brian Ortega keeps just going up and up, and
But
that fight.
will both of them want to take the fight now? I mean, and if they do, I suppose then they could even get another fight in later. Well, not saying that we're in October. We're going to be in October, aren't we? No. No. Well, they maybe do. I'm forgetting how later on in the year we are here. I'm thinking we earlier on. Whether they both take that fight or not.
And they're also big weight cutters as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think because Holloway's had a few issues lately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, Ortega jumps at that.
Yeah.
Holloway, maybe it's that kind of situation of I need to show who's on top of the game, who's been here longer. I'd love to see that fight.
I'm so
It's an
looking forward to
exciting
that
fight.
one.
I know we're talking about who was going to headline it, but I think all those you mentioned there
Would be worthy.
would be decent fights. Gustafsson and Jon Jones, I think everyone wants to see number 2 of that, but I just don't think it'll be happening that soon.
And like we said, I don't think it's going to be Jon Jones' first fight back, is it?
But like you were saying before, I think that everyone's at the minute pushing this Diaz-Poirier fight, which again, it really interests me.
That would be a good fight.
Poirier's another fighter who just keeps stepping up in the minute.
He's been an amazing form.
He's unbelievable in the minute. And I think him
He'll
being
want to fight
Diaz
anyone,
is a great fight.
They want to fight anyone while he's on this form.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get on to 230 though, we need to be talking about what's happening on Saturday, UFC 229. A lot of people speculating this could be the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history. Currently Diaz versus McGregor holds that at, I think it's something like 1.6 million. Some people even speculating it could make 2 million.
I think, I mean, McGregor is McGregor, and I mean I know that we've got a great fight card here coming up, and it's actually quite bad that I keep going back to just the McGregor. Yeah. But let's be honest, that is the viewers.
That's what's drawing people in.
Since probably the boxing, even the Mayweather, he'll have brought people in who didn't particularly like him, who didn't particularly know him, and then they did the world tour, and they'll have been watching going, this guy's funny, guy's funny, or whatever else, or I hate this guy, but whether you hate him or you love him, whether you want to tune in to see him win or whether you want to tune in to get beat, there'll be people tuning in. I do think he'll break a record.
And it's been a long time since he's fought.
People will be excited.
So he's got to be.
If you're fighting every couple of months, it's like it's him again. Well, it's 2 years since he's fought in the UFC, or not quite.
Yeah, last fight was 205, which would have been November 2016.
Right.
That's a long time.
Don't say that. That's the last time I fought the same night.
Yeah, I think the time he's had off, it's got to be breaking that record. It has to.
Yeah.
But then,
especially against Khabib. He's not. Do you know, like we've just talked about Jones there making his comeback, and we say not go suffer. Like here he is. He's fighting. Is he 26-0 Khabib? I mean, he's taking away his oars quite special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think he is going in, like I said, and with all what's been happening with the bus and everything else.
But then that bus thing, does that make people not want to watch him? Not want to kind of give him that attention?
I think people will slag him off and call him exactly, but I guarantee people.
But like you
still
say, they want to see him get beat.
Yeah. And I think a big factor as well is that Khabib's quite a decent draw himself. I mean, what was it, like a 24 hours notice he fought Raging Al, and he still got something like 300,000 viewers for that one.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like of Conor's over sort of like main event opponents, he's a bigger draw than Aldo. I mean, Diaz is obviously on another level, but I think he's bigger draw than Eddie. I think he's bigger draw than Aldo. So I think
you do, yeah. You think Khabib's bigger than Aldo?
In terms of buy rates, I mean, Aldo did some awful numbers. I mean, that fight he had against the Zombie was, 120,000 views?
All right.
But again, the Diaz thing, I've always been a fan of both Diaz brothers, but I think the McGregor-Diaz fight pushed Diaz up to a different level.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially
he was
the first
doing
one.
Red panty level.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely, that boosted him up a lot more. So his numbers will improve now because of fighting McGregor.
Definitely, yeah.
Before we get on to talking about the main card, though, we're going to be focusing a little bit on the prelims. There's a couple of interesting fights, and especially a lot of interesting fighters on this card. Gray Maynard, former title challenger, he's the second fight on the Fight Pass prelims.
Yeah, quite.
Which,
I mean, there's maybe that's just for the Fight Pass fans, isn't it? Like just to get that, because he's still a quality fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's been around, you think, forever. Like you say, he was early on in the Ultimate Fighters, and I do believe he only had a couple of fights, maybe 2 at the most, before he went to the Ultimate Fighter. So all his fights have been on the UFC, and he's fought the best really of the best and been around, and whether he's won or lost,
and the other thing
been
is,
in there.
A new fan's going to be drawn to him.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you need to decide, like, because I know people who, they don't know the BJ Penns of the MMA world. They don't know the people who like Gray Maynard who were here first. So it might be newer fans might not be as drawn to him. That's why he's kind of
better on there than not fighting at all in the UFC.
Well, exactly.
Another interesting factor as well, we got Sergio Pettis against Jesse Formiga. That is number 2 flyweight versus number 5. So this could potentially decide Henry Cejudo's next opponent, depending on what's happening with Mighty Mouse and his injuries. And yet that's stuck on flyweight. I think flyweight still gets a bit of a bad rap by the UFC. I mean, this is an exciting division for me.
Has Henry Cejudo not fought both of them?
He fought Pettis.
He's fought Pettis.
I definitely know he fought Pettis, and that was quite one-sided. Right. So I think from the UFC's perspective, they'd probably be hoping for Formiga to take that one, just to shake it up a bit. And another interesting fact as well is there's 2 women's fights on the prelims, and they all involve 3 of Cyborg's former opponents. So we've got Tonya Evinger fighting Aspen Ladd, and Lena Landsberg going up against Yana Kunitskaya, which I find it quite ironic that we've got sort of like the Cyborg victim party going on there.
It does seem like that. Was it not her last fight was against Cyborg?
Yes.
Yeah, and now she's on...
she's on the Fight Pass prelims.
Wow.
Is that the biggest fall for someone down the card?
That
you've gone from a pay-per-view headliner to...
But do you not think sometimes the fight passes are actually bigger than there must be something in the contract, because I think over the last few big shows, the fight passes seem to always have a couple of big names or ex-main card things.
And does that tell you how good the card is? That
No, not necessarily. I actually think they do draw and put someone on a fight pass for whatever. They must have a good day with fight pass, you know what I mean, or whatever else. I don't know. I do feel that I said maybe 3-4 shows ago, but now it's a recurring pattern now that there's always someone being an ex-main card or ex-title contender, and we always keep saying, should they be on the fight pass?
Wasn't it 225 which had Overeem and Kurt Split?
Was it over? You see what I mean? I think so. I don't think fight pass. I think we underestimate how maybe fight pass a little bit.
And I mean, you can get some corking fights on fight pass.
Yeah,
I mean, did anybody watch Aldana versus Pudilova? What a good fight that is. Honestly, check out Fight Pass. Check out that fight. It's brilliant. Okay. We will move on to our main card though, and we're going to be kicking it off first and foremost in the strawweight division. It is Michelle Waterson, the number 7 seed, I think it's strawweight right now, going up against Felice Herrig. I think the best way to describe this fight for a lot of people is it's one for the dads, I think, to put it nicely.
I'm going to enjoy the fight anyway. I'm not a dad. Felice Herrig, I think we've discussed this before as well. She's one of those kind of people might be drawn in by the looks first.
Yeah,
before the fighting skill.
It's a good. I like it how they always get like a woman's on and everything else. You know what I mean on the main card. Definitely, a lot of people also be tuning in just for the main fight. You know, they turn on they get it. And the first fight they're going to be watching is this, and I think they'll appreciate how good the women are these days, if you like, and how well they've come on really, and how much of a big part they play in the UFC now.
Yes.
Yeah, I've spoken to loads of people who they've watched their first female MMA fight before, and they've always been like, "Wow,
the fight
will kick off the show. Just nice."
And I think when you look at the two people in question as well, first off, both of them have their own fan bases, quite popular, likeable figures. We'll start first and foremost with Michelle Waterson, who is, it's surprising to say, she's actually one of the veterans of the strawweight division, and obviously with Greg Jackson in tow, she's going to have a great game plan.
Yeah.
I think Greg Jackson has to be up there as one of the best coaches in MMA.
Definitely. There's no one in that camp or no one who's going to be not well trained or well prepared for the fight. So definitely.
And a lot of people look at the nickname and think that she's primarily striking based, and she does have a good karate based background. But I think one thing that always impresses me about Michelle, and I think she especially showed this in her last fight against Courtney Casey, she's got good wrestling as well. Her grappling is, for somebody so small for the division, she can take down some big girls.
Yeah.
And that's what you need, though. You need those extra skills in that division as well. Because, like you say, I know she's called the karate hottie.
It doesn't really work for the British, does it?
It doesn't. You need to be American to say it, karate hottie. But, with any division, any sport, anything like that, you need to have a good all-round game.
Definitely. We talk about this quite often, how there's no such thing now as yes, I know you do say classic striker versus grappler, but even then, the striker can grapple and the grappler can strike. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's kind of the time of like just a wrestler, primarily wrestler. All that's changed. You need to be able to adapt to the sport, and that's a big step for the sport.
Gyms now, you don't have one coach; you have 4 or 5 coaches, and they all have the different aspects. You know what I mean? Proper wrestling coach, proper striking coach, proper grappling coach, jiu-jitsu, whatever else. So yeah, I'd like to say she'll have a game plan. Whatever comes, the fight starts stand up. She has had kickboxing. She has had a kickboxing fight or 2.
Yes.
So she has got a bit of, like I say, depending on how the fight goes really for her and how she feels she's going to get the win. Every different fight's different. If she feels like she can beat the opponent stood up, she'll keep it stood up. If she feels like she's got better chances on the floor, I'm sure she'll use the wrestling to take the fight to the floor.
I think she. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think she has the best success rate for takedowns in the strawweight division. I think it's between her and Suarez, but Michelle's definitely up there.
I can believe that.
The big question I do have when it comes to Michelle, though, and I've been saying this even when she was in Invicta and she was fighting at atomweight, is she too small for the division? I mean, she doesn't cut that much weight, and when you're fighting someone like Felice Herrig, who's one of the biggest strawweights out there...
But like you say, she keeps taking them to the floor, so she's coping, she's managing.
Size isn't always an issue if you've got the strength as well. Like if you've got the strength to back your size up.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that with Till against Woodley.
Well, exactly.
Woodley was just bullying around. We'll talk a little bit about Felice Herrig, though, and we always like to talk about great career turnarounds. I've even done a video about it. You'll see a link somewhere up there. When we talk about career turnarounds, Felice Herrig, maybe she's not like a Mark Hunt or anyone like that, but this girl, she was the Instagram girl on The Ultimate Fighter. She was almost this figure of ridicule. People put her on the same sort of level as someone like a Karl and Curran. And yet, out of nowhere, she's got herself 4. She had herself 4 wins in a row. Again, beat Courtney Casey to get herself into the top 10. And then had a fight against Carolina at 223, where, I think Carolina deserved a win, but Felice didn't look out of place against someone like Carolina Volkov.
Well, that's the thing of... Maybe she knows that she's been kind of put in this position as the Instagram girl, and that is if that's what she does, that's what she does. But at the end of the day, she's now probably trying to say, you know what, that's not just what I am. I can fight as well.
Yeah.
And if she's
give
proven
that motivation,
you can do both. But if she's proven that, you know what, I can fight, I'm here to fight, I'm in this sport for a reason, then that's good for her.
Yeah,
you can do both.
And of course, she's always had her wrestling. That's been her main forte. she's been exploring the striking a bit more. I mean, obviously we saw that against Courtney Casey, where she won what was almost primarily a stand-up battle. And obviously, when you bear in mind Michelle's somewhat smaller size for the division, she's going to cause problems if she can get her down.
Yeah.
She will. I mean, for this one, I do like both of them, but I think I'd be leaning towards Michelle Waterson for it. Just for experience. Just for all-round game. I think I'd be leaning that way. Like,
do you think Felice also? Do you think Felice has a bit of a lack of a killer instinct as well? I mean, if you look at her record, it's primarily decision wins. So.
Yeah, I think you're right what you're saying. You know, some people haven't got the knockout punch and the maybe killer instinct. What you're saying, but as long as they get the win, and you know, even if they grind it out, I mean, especially if they can make it an entertaining fight, it's when they grind it out and they make a boring fight. But if they can still make an entertaining fight, then you can get away with what she does. You know what I mean? And she is looking for the finish, but doesn't necessarily get it. So
yeah, and like you said, decisions doesn't mean it's boring.
No, definitely.
She could be getting fight of the night for all of them.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
A win's a win. That's what you have to.
Definitely.
I was just saying there, you were saying like she might not have a knockout punch, but I mean we saw Jessica Andrade. Yeah. I was just blown away by that.
Oh, and I'm a fan of Jessica as well. Like, it's upsetting to see.
I think I was reading somewhere. I think that's only the second one-punch knockout in a women's UFC fight. I think.
Is that right?
I think Ronda versus Betch was the first, and then it was Andrade and Carolina.
Wow.
Like most of them just like succumb into strikes.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, usually
just
is.
One. Right.
So
it is very rare that you see that actually.
Yeah,
you come
very rare.
Think of a woman getting knocked out in UFC. I can't see it.
So you were leaning towards there. You were thinking Waterson's experience was going to give her the upper hand.
Yes,
I'll go for Felice. I think. Decision.
I'm going to follow Tim's lead. I'm going to say Felice by decision. I'm going to say 29-28. So I'm going to put myself on a bit of a pedestal there.
Right, okay.
It's a fascinating fight to kick off the main card.
Yeah.
And it's also a bit of a theme for this card when you look at it, is we've got people who are very highly regarded by the UFC or fan-friendly fighters for a McGregor card. So I mean that's good to see.
Definitely.
And speaking of fan-friendly fighters, we brings us on to fight number 2, and it's in the heavyweight division, and it's time for the return of Derek the Black Beast Lewis.
Very good. Does anyone else think it's potentially fight of the night? Potentially.
I mean, I would have been more convinced before 226. Because with Derek Lewis, we're looking at a guy who's won 8 of his past 9 fights. His only loss was against Mark Hunt, where Lewis did very well early on and then just tired badly. He's the number 2 seed in the heavyweight division, which nobody would have thought of at one point.
Nah.
And yet, despite all that, this is arguably the lowest his stock's ever been because of the Francis fight.
Yeah, but man, I know we were talking before about the Francis thing, like kind of building him up too early. But Francis is a beast. Francis is a beast. Like, you can't take that away from him. And I think with Derek Lewis, there's so much potential there, and he is a good fighter. But I think Volkov, it's another big step for him. I think personally, like.
And I like Volkov.
I do.
I really like Volkov.
And for me, because I try and not do a lot of the time, but because I like Volkov, it's hard for me to see Volkov just not winning it.
Yeah. There's somebody in there telling you different.
Yeah, Derek Lewis, he is good, and I just can't see him beating Volkov for me. But
I mean, Derek does have his positives to him. I mean, obviously he's got massive knockout power. I mean, he catches you with that right hand, he's almost certainly going to cause you problems. I also think as well, he gets a bit of a reputation as being like a stand and banger. He just wildly swings and just happens to knock you out. I think he's a lot more technical than people give him credit for. I mean, he has a great switch kick. I mean, yeah, he wasn't contacting that much with Francis, but I mean, the times he was throwing, I was thinking a big 260-pound guy like that throwing kicks. And I think as well, how he uses his, I mean, especially when he's kept on the ground and he sort of like blasts to get back up. He just does enough to keep you off balance. I mean, we saw that with the Tabura fight. Just a quick trip, get him off balance, and then knock him out. And that was a fight that he was losing as well. So I think Derek is a lot better than people give him credit for.
He's definitely
well-rounded.
Definitely good. Yeah.
He's well-rounded.
But I mean, as well, like you were talking about the kicks and that. What height are they? I'm sure Volkov's.
I mean, he's like 6'8",
Volkov's big.
6'8", I think. Volkov.
Yeah. again, like I say, I do like Derek Lewis, and he does have the ability to. Don't get me wrong, he can win this fight.
Yeah,
he could win this fight.
Yeah,
and I think in a heavyweight fight, as long as you've got power, you've got a chance.
I think in the heavyweight division, you can get knocked out by anyone at any point, but some people do have that extra kind of bit of power. I just think Volkov's gonna. I'm probably gonna be wrong when I say this, but I think Volkov's just gonna be a more level-headed when he goes in and just control the game a bit more.
I can see them both being opposite. I can see it being a bit more of a swinging, a proper uproar, and a bit of a potentially fight of the night. I just think they'll collide, and I just think it'll be a bit more.
I hope so.
I think it'll be a bit more outgoing and a bit more brawling, if you like. Mm-hmm. Be nice to be. It's good to watch for people when they turn. They've tuned in. They've watched a good woman's fight.
Nice warm up.
And then see a bit of heavyweight proper action.
And I think when we talk about Volkov as well, I think what's exciting a lot of people about Volkov is it's almost that sort of unknown quality. I mean, he was a guy who spent most of his career with Bellator and was fairly unremarkable there. I mean, he fought for their heavyweight title, but nothing to make you stand up and really take note. Comes to the UFC, builds up like a 3 or 4 fight winning streak, and then he gets that massive win over Verdum, which felt like this real sort of changing of the guard moment in the heavyweight division. I'm with Max. I've been very high on Volkov. I think he uses his reach very well. I mean, someone described him as sort of a good version of Stefan Struve. Which, I'm sorry, if Stefan is watching this, I do apologise, but
Stefan.
I'm going to get like a 7-foot-tall Dutchman knocking on my door soon, aren't I? But no, I've been very high on Volkov. He can be a bit chinny.
Yeah.
But I think his ground game was very good against Verdum. I mean, we know how good Verdum is on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I think when you bear in mind the reach advantage and how he knows how to use his reach, I'm leaning more towards Volkov.
Yeah.
I would tend to go with you, really. But I am a Lewis fan as well. But
my predictions are never right.
No, it's one of them fights though that where it's like every fight really. There's only 2 people in it, but it could go anywhere. That fight, I think. You know what I mean? Especially heavyweights. I think they're the most
hardest
one.
For me.
The heavyweights are the most unpredictable, I think. Yeah. Definitely.
I think another factor which could play a big part is Derek has been struggling with back issues for a long time. They flared up against Francis, which arguably helped affect his performance. He was forced to pull out of a fight with Verdum last year because of it. If this continues to happen again, how long can we see Derek Lewis staying around that sort of top 5?
Well, how long can you say him competing? You know what I mean? It's a dangerous thing. Your back, you know what I mean?
Back's a thing that, if that goes on you,
it's bad. It's really bad. Like I said, he must feel confident enough in his team around him because he's not going injured. And he literally has to get that out. He can't have that in the back of his head in this fight. He can't be walking in that cage, letting that cage door slam and think, I hope my back keeps up. I hope my back. He really needs to let that go for now and just go for the fight, really. And then we'll see what happens on the night.
We've also got, as well with this fight, we've got the number 2 seed going up against the number 5 seed. There's a strong chance of one of these two potentially fighting Daniel Cormier or whoever the heavyweight champ is later on in the future. Are these two genuine contenders, or are they just beneficiaries of a weaker division? I mean, this is a real transitional period for the heavyweights.
What you've just said there, they probably would deserve the chance to win it, maybe, but it's not a particularly stacked division.
No,
it's not.
But that does. But if there's nobody else and they are beating everybody else around in the top 10, then yes, they will get that. One of the winners should get. But
for me, I just can't in my head imagine
have them as a world
Derek
champion.
Lewis heavyweight champion.
I know.
It'd be great.
I mean, it'd be hilarious.
It would be great if he was.
But no, it maybe would not be brilliant for the sport.
No.
I don't want to.
They can only keep winning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whether they win this fight, then they win the next one or whatever else. And there's nobody else, and they're shouting and putting their hand up saying, "Look, I'm ready. It's my turn."
But Volkov, though, I'm telling you, if Volkov was a champ and he kind of solidified his style and got in there and kept going the way he was, I can see him being a dominant champ.
Do you know what it reminds me of? This sort of era for the heavyweight division. It sort of reminds me of sort of the Tim Sylvia era, when you had people like Dan McGee and Jeff Monson getting title shots.
Yeah.
I mean, decent
swings and roundabouts. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years' time, it'll be stacked.
Yeah.
And these lads wouldn't get in the top 10. You know what I mean? It goes in.
But do you not think there was a time where heavyweights, light heavyweight, for me at least, when I was first watching, that was what I was excited to watch.
Yeah. Now
it was like the
everyone's
Chuck and Randy.
Yeah.
Now everyone's excited about the lighter
divisions.
even not the middle, not the welterweight. You're talking light feather bantam.
Bantamweight's been brilliant.
Yeah.
So I know which way Max is going for this one. You're probably leaning towards Volkov.
Yeah.
Are we picking a round?
3 rounds. I'll go 3 rounds.
I'll go Volkov, and I'll go what round I don't know yet. I'm on the fence. I'm really going to sit on the fence on that. I can see a fast, explosive start. So, but I'll not go for first round. I'll go for second round.
I'm going to say Volkov, and I think third round. I think Derek tires himself out, and Volkov finishes with just accumulation of strikes.
I agree.
Yeah. So we'll move on to our middle card, which is, I think they've started marketing this as the featured fight, and normally this is one where they try and hype up a really highly rated prospect, and the guy in question this time is basically light heavyweight's hottest name at the moment, which is Dominic the Devastator Reyes.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of his fights even before the UFC, and you know he's quite a guy really, because I was telling you about him. A spectator's point of view, the punches don't seem to be coming at all fast or at all, but they just land on. His timing is fantastic. He's southpaw, which throws quite a few people. He loves that high kick.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Though he's not like really vicious and bang bang bang. He's just he plods on, but he seems to just keep catching and everything. He knows when to throw them. He's good at defence. He is quite a good up and coming.
And we saw obviously in his last fight against Jared Cannonier, he's starting to sort of work his way through some of those sort of top 10, top 15 type fighters. So he's coming on steady. I mean, he hasn't got that rocket strapped to him yet.
No. But I don't think he never will, to be honest with you. I think he'll get to a level before maybe not even top 10, maybe, I don't know. I'm not 100% with him. And he'll get found out a bit, but as it's going, I think he's definitely he's proven himself for this fight. He definitely deserves this fight.
But I think, like you're saying there, he hasn't got the rocket strapped to him. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yes.
Like you were saying before, you've seen how some people just...
It might evolve in time.
Yeah.
If he's still keep winning and plodding on, like I say, all of a sudden he might come, rather than have a fight too early against someone too good, if you like.
But sometimes the other people that go under the radar, and they can win and win and win, but they'll never get a title shot. They could be all the way up there, but they won't get a title shot because they're just performing well and steady. I've seen it with fighters in the past in the UFC. But
Asen Sao.
Yeah.
I mean, how many fights has Asen Sao won recently? Like 7 fights in a row?
And this is the point. What stage is it like, right, we need to give him that next level fight or the title shot?
But is it? Do you not think that sometimes though them fighters aren't crying out and shouting out for it? Then what happens is you've got the promotion or the man in charge who's getting other people knocking at the door saying, listen, I want this title shot, and if he's not screaming out for it, he's not getting it, because he might be happy not to get it. He might be happy just plodding on and getting and win and win and win. And people like yourself are going, he should be getting the title shot, he should be getting that, or the next level. But they might be happy.
What if these people are knocking?
I'm in no rush. If they are knocking, then that's different.
What if they're not on the door, but Dana or whoever in UFC is like, yeah, but you're just not a star.
Well, just going back to what Tim was saying there, if we look at Darren Till talked himself into the Cowboy fight, and then he talked himself into the Wonder Boy fight, and then he talked himself into a title shot. I mean, obviously he has the skills to back it up.
Yeah.
But
you do need that talk.
Yeah.
But now let's say he's knocking on the door and saying, Dana, I want this fight, but he's not publicly talking the talk.
Yeah.
Does he get those fights?
That's up to Dana.
So I mean, that Reyes might be a case of, you know what, Dana, I want this fight, but I'm not a big draw, I'm not a sell, I'm not attractive to the sport.
Then he would have to be something special.
Yeah.
And I think if we are looking to try and sort of move Reyes onto the next level, arguably OSP is the perfect man to do so, because this guy is arguably the most unpredictable fighter in mixed martial arts. I mean, I've seen sometimes where OSP can look like an absolute world beater, and other times he gets cleaned out in the first round.
Yeah.
I just never know what to expect from him.
Nah,
I think it's a very hard fight. I think OSP might edge it, to be honest with you. I think it's not too early for Reyes to fight him, but I think this is definitely his biggest challenge by a long shot as well.
Definitely. OSP's been there, done it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Like you say, you don't know which OSP's going to come, but
If the right one comes, it's a hard night for Reyes.
I know the potential ability that he has when he comes into the octagon. So
OSP, he almost seems to win the fights he's not expected to, and then lose the fights he is expected to. So it's good for him that he's the underdog coming into this. So,
See, I wouldn't have expected him being the underdog, for this fight. I really wouldn't have. I'd have put him as the favourite, but obviously for whatever reason he's not. I mean, I don't know, and I'm not slugging Reyes off either, because when I was saying about it, I think he is a potentially real good fighter. But I would have thought OSP would be definitely the favourite for this fight, for the level he's been at and who he's fought and whatever else. But
what I've liked to see from OSP recently, what we've started seeing is he almost started to embrace his striking a bit too much. He's gone back to focusing primarily on his wrestling. It helped bail him out against Tyson Pedro. I mean, Pedro caught him big time early in that fight, but OSP managed to survive it, got him on the ground, and then managed to submit him. And of course, the Von Flue choke is always going to be a big weapon for him.
Yeah, and I think that shows the ability he does have and what he can do. I think it's one of them ones as well for me that I know so much more about OSP than I do Reyes. That I can see the potential ways he could win that fight. But I could also see the potential ways he could lose that fight. From like you're saying.
Definitely.
I would still lean towards OSP.
So really, we're all saying that it's all about, this fight is all about how OSP comes into the fight.
Is,
if he comes in top notch, he gets the win. If he doesn't, he gets the lose. So really, it's all down to him, and that just goes to show that we feel like he's a more superior fighter, because he's really the dictator of this fight, depending on how we.
But he could win this. This is the thing as well. He could win this fight, and he'll stay at the same level he's at.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not going to go up. He's not going to go down. He's just going to stay that middle tier.
I can't see OSP like challenging DC or anything like that.
No, definitely not. But the UFC need lads like him, because it's maybe, I don't know if it's bad to call him this, but he's a bit of a stepping stone really now for Reyes. Obviously, if Reyes was to win this fight, he then goes up the ladder. But like you say, OSP will stay at the same.
Do you know what this fight reminds me of? It reminds me of that Tuivasa Arlovsky fight from 225.
Right,
you got like the wily Vertu. We're just not entirely sure what to expect of anymore, going up against the unbeaten, highly rated prospect. And that was a hell of a fight.
And it was. And again, it was one of the ones where
this is potentially
there could be moves from after it. OSP though, can you see, like I say, can you ever see him moving from where he's at?
No, but
do you think he's happy staying where he's at?
And can you see him taking the big shots that Reyes is going to be throwing? He has been caught. I mean, Latifi caught him, Pedro caught him. Yeah,
and Latifi, I don't want to kind of grieve him, but Latifi's not the greatest, in my opinion.
He sets up some good high kicks with his punches and everything. He is really good. Like,
which way are we going, lads? This is a tricky one.
This is a tricky one, but I'm going to go OSP, and I'm going
to. I nearly went Reyes, just something popped in my head, but I've got to stick with OSP because I know more about him.
OSP by submission.
Okay.
I think he's going to manage to get him to the ground, and I hate to say it, I think Reyes might get found out on the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to say get him to the ground, but I'm going to say decision.
I'm going to say decision, just because I think OSP's unpredictable, and Reyes is going to go in there to try and prove what he's...
And I do believe that Reyes at one point in the fight will rock him.
Yes.
Or hurt him, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
I think if I had to make some sort of one secure prediction, I think this is going to be our fight of the night.
Do you think this?
Yeah.
This is the one that's going to win fight of the night.
Okay.
We'll move on to our core main event, and we are in the lightweight division. It's something which, just go on a bit of a tangent, I do like what the UFC have done with this, because how many times have we seen a main event fall through, and the UFC have to scramble and just try and fly someone in from who knows where to get them to fight into a main event. So I'm glad we've got a high-ranking lightweight fight, just in case something happens to Conor or Khabib.
Yeah, that's good.
Should do that for every fight, every UFC main card should have 2 fights worthy of a main event.
They always should.
And I think as well, they should also have a high-ranking fight in the same weight class as the main event.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously we saw that with 228, but he had Kamaru Usman on standby just in case Till didn't make weight. And we've seen it with this one. So obviously, something happens to Conor Khabib, they can easily throw Tony Ferguson in there.
Do you think that would happen?
I think it would, because I think people want to see. They want to see Ferguson versus Conor. They want to see Conor versus Ferguson versus Khabib.
I've said this on every single show.
It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Khabib and Tony is not going to happen.
But
I don't know why it's not. It's just not going to. I can't see it, and I really want to watch that fight.
I want to watch it only because if you ever go onto YouTube, somebody did this fight promo for Ferguson versus Khabib.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the funniest things ever. It has like a Bee Gees song, "How Long Must I Wait?" It's just so funny.
I can't see it happening.
There's going to be a call out on this fight, though, isn't there?
There's going to be.
It's going to be. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a bit of a call out and a bit of.
Yeah. If Tony Ferguson wins this fight, he's calling out one of them two.
Yeah.
He's calling out either Conor
Ferguson's the number one contender after this.
Yeah.
He'll call out McNugget, won't he?
That was hilarious. But it's also the first time we've seen Tony Ferguson for over a year. His last fight was Kevin Lee at UFC 216. So it's going to be interesting to see if Ferguson could still maintain that momentum he had before then, because this was a guy who had won 10 straight fights, 7 of which by finish. He is 34 though. Can he still maintain that sort of high level that he was before his injury?
He's a true athlete though. So yeah, I think he will be up though. I definitely think he will. And you know, at that age, you know, not being as competitive in the terms of often fights isn't a bad thing. I think you can slow down and it'll probably do the body the rest. Fighting 3-4 times a year at a certain age is probably too much. It's not the fight, it's the training camp, the sparring, the grappling, the intensity. So at his age, I think he could still maintain a great level of fitness without having to compete so often.
Because I've always
not once every year, mind.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
I've always heard a lot of people say it's not about your actual physical age, it's about your body age. And there's a lot of people who are, say, 28, 29, who are wrecked as fighters because they put the body through so much before then. And yet somebody who's in their 40s, who maybe took things a little bit easier, has a younger body age and can continue for...
I agree with that 1,000,000%.
Well, we've seen this with Barao. Barao's what, 32, 33, and people saying he's washed up.
Yeah. He looks older than 32, like. But Pettis, for me, Anthony Pettis is... I love him. Like, and he's been such a favourite of mine for so long. He did take a massive kind of... Like, I don't understand. He came into the UFC at the same time Benson Henderson did. Benson Henderson was straight at the top, title shot. Pettis was just at this level, kind of fighting to kind of... And he came in as the champ. And he was fighting to get that belt, which I don't get. And once he got it, he was there for a while and then he just dipped.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see he's kind of back on the rise.
And there's a buzz around him again.
Yeah.
I mean... People always knew Anthony Pettis always had that unpredictable side to him. We all knew about the flashy kicks. His performance against Michael Chiesa, I mean, submitting Michael Chiesa is a big achievement for anybody.
Chiesa likes his submissions as well.
And it's a lot of people getting excited about Pettis again and saying, yeah, maybe he might not be the top guy again. Maybe he might not be fighting for titles anytime soon. But he's always going to cause you trouble.
Definitely. He's a worry to fight.
And this exciting prospect to watch. Knowing he's on a card. Like I say, there was a time Anthony Pettis was main event, co-main event all the time.
I mean, they were putting him on like cereal boxes and everything as well. So he was a huge star.
Yeah, I do like Anthony Pettis. I would really love for Anthony Pettis to be fighting for title again. I would love it.
Do you think he'd get the same as Ferguson though if he got this win? Do you think he would do a call out?
No.
He would.
He might.
He might
do a call out.
I don't think he'll get it.
No.
I don't think he'll get it.
They'll if Pettis was to beat Ferguson, they give the next shot to the winner of Diaz versus Poirier.
Yeah. And then for me, Pettis has to fight either one of them or the loser of one of them, the two big fights.
I want to see Pettis versus Gaethje.
Okay.
Well, I just want to see Justin Gaethje
That's
fight
a worrying
anyone.
fight. Like I say, I like Pettis. That's a worry for me, him fighting Gaethje. Like.
Going back to Tony Ferguson, though, what do you think are Ferguson's best strengths as a fighter? What are people going to be looking forward to for anybody who's maybe never seen him fight before?
I like his striking. I think his striking's vicious at times.
Do you think the fight's going to stay stood up though?
Yeah, I do. Because I think they both... I'm always wrong with my predictions, but they're both people who I can just see coming out with something...
Some nice...
Pettis with these crazy kicks, but Ferguson's just...
Technical in the first
punches.
round. And then start going a bit more wayward in the second round, maybe.
The one worry I have when it comes to Tony Ferguson is I think he's going to have a significant advantage when it comes to grappling against Anthony Pettis. I mean, Pettis is decent on the ground himself, but I think actually getting him down there, that's going to be Ferguson's forte. My big issue with Tony Ferguson, well, there's two of them actually. One, he's a very slow starter. I mean, we saw that with the fight against Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee caused him a lot of problems in that first round. Lando Venate nearly finished him in the first round. And also as well, Ferguson has a habit of getting himself caught in a brawl.
Yeah.
He sometimes gets carried away with the striking side of things. And you do that against Anthony Pettis, he can cause you trouble.
Could be a very bad first fight back, really.
It could be.
Potentially. Especially if it's a slow start, he might not get that chance to recover if he's bombarded earlier on and get again a stand-up brawl.
I think he'll stay standing because I think they both do like the strike. I don't know if Ferguson wants it on the ground.
I think there'll be if the fight's going on, there'll be a takedown purposely to get the decision.
That's yes.
Not to take down
to get
for
the points,
submission.
To get points,
to take down to get or the other one's getting the whoever's on the back foot. Do you know what I mean?
I just think on the ground Ferguson can control it, but I think Pettis has got good jiu-jitsu skills. I could see him submitting him. I could see him submitting him. That would be a massive win if he submitted.
That would be huge. Jeez. But it would be a shame as well because I think people want Tony Ferguson to be fighting for a proper lightweight title.
Yeah, they do, and like I say, it's not going to be Khabib ever. But if McGregor wins,
I'd like to see McGregor versus Ferguson.
Does that fight happen? Is that the next fight? Who else does McGregor fight in that division?
Diaz.
Does he fight Poirier again?
He won't be fighting Poirier. His next fight's
got to be Ferguson.
His next fight's going to be Tony Ferguson or Nate Diaz, unless he fights like Manny Pacquiao and goes boxing.
And here's the thing with the Diaz fight, McGregor Diaz. Is that a fight where it'd be the third fight? Do they leave that to another point where, hang on, ratings and things are going down, so it's like, hang on, we've got that DS card we can pull out.
Yeah, but what I think UFC, obviously they're a business. If the potential of Ferguson's there, I think they'll put the Ferguson fight with McGregor because that Diaz card can come out at any point in the future. 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. Do you know what I mean? They've done a Liddell and Ortiz that thing, and when they're 2-0, but they're 1-1, right? That third fight is a proper trilogy because you know what I mean. It's not like 2-0. I didn't get that for a third, but a 1-1 trilogy, it makes sense. So they can pull that card at any point, even if they're both on the downfall in later life. They can get that fight. They can make a fight of that. So I think if the Ferguson potential's there, he'll get it above Diaz.
And McGregor Ferguson sells. So I would keep that Diaz fight somewhere on the shelf, waiting for when the time's right. It's going to happen, but I just think it depends how many fights McGregor's got left in him.
So are you suggesting 2030 we'll be seeing Diaz McGregor 3? Maybe like some sort of like washed up boxer promoting it.
Possibly, but I bet it gets good views.
Oh yes. I mean, I won't be buying the pay-per-view, but I'll definitely be trying to stream Liddell versus Ortiz. I hate to say it.
Everyone will be. It's crazy, you know what I mean? Because if you were like, I watched the UFC a lot more back then, you know, because there's that many shows now. And they were the days for me. Yeah. They really were. And you know, I tell you what I found funny when they used to come to the press conferences, them though, because they were like everyone else did back then, with just the shorts or the chugging bottoms, and then now they were all fancy dressed. It was quite a good thing to see them, you know what I mean? But no, I think they are. It's quite bad how excited I really am for that. When really it's quite a weird fight because why Liddell wants to have that fight, I don't know, because he's 2-0, and Ortiz is now more dangerous with him being competitive and actually I think he's won 3 out of his last 4, and Chuck Liddell's never fought for 8 or 10 years.
Last fight was
Rich
2010, Rich Franklin, yeah.
Right. So
I don't like Ortiz, and I love Liddell.
Yeah.
So I'd be watching. I don't
really
want to watch it because I know Ortiz has that advantage.
Definitely.
But nothing about the fight really appeals to me.
There's nothing. Don't get me wrong. If I was Taylor Ortiz, that's a great fight. Taylor Ortiz has got everything because it's like someone beating me twice. If you get a chance to beat them for once and for all, and you think you can, Taylor. Well, why Chuck Liddell's took the fight? I do not know.
Like Ken Shamrock.
Obviously.
Didn't Ken Shamrock fight Ortiz 3 times?
3 times. Ortiz beat him 3 times.
You know what I mean?
Crackers.
Right.
What were we talking about? It was what? Oh yeah, Ferguson versus Pettis.
Yes.
Predictions for this one, lads?
Ferguson.
Pettis submission.
Ooh.
Naughty.
I'm going to say Ferguson decision.
Okay.
Ferguson decision, and he calls out the winner.
Yeah.
So now we get to the big one, lads. The main event, one of the most eagerly anticipated main events for a long, long time. It is Khabib Nurmagomedov, 26-0, taking on Conor McGregor, lightweight title on the line. What makes this fight so fascinating for me? Not only is it expected to be massive, I mean, we're talking potentially the biggest UFC pay-per-view of all time, but it's also a very compelling matchup. We've got striker versus grappler, which I always love to see. I always love that sort of dynamic. And also as well, it's not so much how good they are in their respective fields, but more how less than stellar they are in the other's field.
Yeah.
People in the build to this fight have been talking about Khabib's striking and how can he handle McGregor's punches. People have been saying how can Conor handle the ground game. It is so fascinating to see.
It's a great matchup. Like it really is a great matchup, to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to all of it, all of the whole fight itself. And I hope it's not a quick fight, and I hope it has plenty of stand up and plenty of action on the floor to see how they both cope with each other's strengths.
I know for a fact it's one of those fights where I'm not expecting it, but it'll start and I'll suddenly be like it's so much anticipation for it. And again, it's quite a generic view that seems to be just going around everywhere at the minute, but for me it is that situation of if it goes down it's Khabib's, if it stays down it's McGregor's. I know they've both got McGregor does have takedown defense, Khabib does have decent striking, but I think the Mendes fight with McGregor kind of proved that once he's down, it is tough for him to get back up. I'm not saying he can't. Khabib's, he's better at controlling the ground for me.
Yeah, well, I when this fight was, even before it was announced, I was thinking, McGregor wants to keep away from that Khabib, but now I keep on about it. If Khabib gets McGregor to the ground, I don't think it will be game over straight away. And like I was saying before, it's not. Yes, McGregor might not get back up that round, but I think he'll do enough to see the round out,
yes,
to then start back up, stood up on his feet. And like I said, that he's got, if it goes 5 rounds, he's got potentially, he's got 5 starts, 5 times on his feet with him, but and that's 5 takedowns Khabib has to get.
But say he gets 2 takedowns, 1 each round, does it get to a 3rd round? You might end it in a second.
No. And does Khabib get in 5 times?
I think as well
without getting caught on the way in.
Just going to like Conor and how he handles the ground game, I always looked at 2 conflicting examples. First off, if we look at the Chad Mendes fight, Mendes was taking Conor down at will. It was so easy, and it was so alarming to see somebody that highly regarded, almost sort of, I wouldn't say outclassed on the ground game, but it obviously wasn't where Conor's happy being.
And was that 2 weeks notice?
That was 2 weeks notice. The mistake Chad made was Chad went for a guillotine in the 2nd round. Conor was able to fight out of it, got him back up to his feet, and that's where Conor finished it. Khabib's not going to offer those kind of opportunities. No. Khabib seldom goes for submissions. He just pounds you.
But I noticed in the Michael Johnson fight, he got rocked.
Yes.
He got rocked by Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's a decent puncher, but I think McGregor is so precise.
Yes.
If he gets hit with one of them, that could be the difference.
I mean, we even saw that when he fought Raging Al. When in the brief stand-up moments, Al was holding his own.
Yeah.
And I think another big issue when it comes to Khabib as well is Khabib isn't a shooter. I mean, Chad Mendes can dive in from miles out and take you down. Whereas Khabib likes to fall like a Superman punch and then close you against the distance, which is bad for 2 reasons. Number one, you're going to run the risk of getting caught if you try and dive in like that against McGregor.
We've seen it against Aldo. What's that?
Yeah. And also as well, when Diaz was trying to take Conor down against the side of the cage in the 2nd fight, Conor's takedown defense was very good.
Yeah. I mean, I think realistically, Khabib is going to start off stand-up. He's going to have to, because realistically, McGregor's going to be thinking, and Khabib's coaches and his team must be thinking, all he's going to be looking for now is his takedown defense. Yeah. So surprise him.
Yes.
But he doesn't want to get too comfortable in the stand-up, because he will. You can't just learn and be all of a sudden quicker and out with McGregor stood up. He hasn't got the ability, Khabib, to do that stood up. But I do think, and that's where McGregor might catch him, but also he might knock McGregor off guard, because McGregor might be thinking, I'm looking just for a takedown defense here, and then all of a sudden he's looking for takedown defense, and he's getting punched. But then Khabib will have to shoot in at the correct time.
Yeah, I think McGregor's as he does is starting up standing. He's going to start doing spin kicks and all this, and that's the point where it's going to be like, hang on, I might have to take him down.
I don't think he's going to risk the kicks.
You don't think so?
I think Conor was very kick heavy. I would say probably the first Diaz fight was the last time I really saw him go kick heavy. Since then, he's been primarily about his boxing.
I think as the fight goes on, I think he will have to kick to mix it up. As the fight goes on, I think if he just starts throwing punches, I think it'll be a bit, not the word boring, not because it doesn't matter about boring, really. Predictable, yeah. And I think Khabib, I think he'll definitely have to mix up. Also, to land his punches high and low, you know what I mean? If he just starts throwing the punches, I think Khabib will keep away and get out of it. I think he'll have to mix it up to break the...
It is a risk of getting taken down as well with the kicks, but I think if he's at least going to tease him with them to let him know that I've got this capability.
Front kicks,
to do
anything,
it.
He's just... To be honest with you, even put the knee out just to stop Khabib diving in there, you know, make Khabib think, look at his front leg there, it's ready to go.
And in my head, I picture him getting a knock out the Alvarez fight, where Khabib's kind of rushing in and he just gets a combination while stepping back.
Yeah.
I think another big factor we need to look at as well is also Conor sort of physically and mentally. First of all, he's always had issues when it comes to his cardio. Yeah. We saw him tire really badly in both Diaz fights. I mean, he was gassed by the second round, and then in the second fight, I mean, there was a time in, say, the third round where Diaz very nearly finished him in that third round. So you're going to have to question how good Conor's cardio is, and especially the Floyd fight as well. He also gassed out, I think, at the end of the fourth round. Also, is his head still in the sport? I mean, he's 2 years away. We've had all the issues with the bus incident, all the legal issues.
I think for Conor, I think his head may not be in the sport as much, but I think for this fight it will be, because realistically, this puts him on an even bigger pedestal. Because, you know, that zero of Khabib's is massive.
Yeah.
Because he's fought, he is up there, you know what I mean? And he's 26-0. He's not 10-0, he's 26-0. So I think that his head's in the Khabib fight. But after that, I don't think after that there's anything else bigger for Conor McGregor.
I mean, he spent most of his press conference promoting his whiskey, didn't he?
I know. I
think he had a few sips of it as well. He seemed very...
He didn't seem himself.
To me,
I mean, Conor enjoys playing up to a crowd, and obviously no crowd there, so...
It seemed like he was almost acting a version of himself. It was odd to see, and that's the part that makes me worry if he's fully into it, if he's all in.
Hopefully.
Another big issue I sort of have in regards to this fight is what happens afterwards. I mean, Khabib is obviously... I don't think he's going anywhere soon. So we're going to be seeing potentially fights... I'm not going to say Khabib versus Ferguson's going to happen, because you're insisting it never will. But say the fights against, say, Dustin Poirier or Nate Diaz or Justin Gaethje, those fights will more than likely happen with Khabib as champion.
Well, UFC obviously... I'll generally favour who they want to win for any fight, because obviously where they see them going. On this fight in particular, I don't know who they'll want, because McGregor, they always want McGregor as a McGregor train, you know what I mean? It's massive. But they might be thinking, hey, this is going to stop soon. McGregor's going to go off and maybe be an actor, go back down and get another 100 million for a boxing fight. I don't know. So they might be thinking, like you say, right, okay, let Khabib beat McGregor. Then he's got that McGregor status, and he's now 27-0, and then make it all about Khabib. But so I think UFC maybe won't be as bothered who
as much wins as they would have done with other fights.
Yeah.
Because that's a big worry I have when it comes to McGregor, is we saw with the featherweight division and we saw with the lightweight division. Conor ran off to do his own thing, he fought Floyd Mayweather, and these great divisions were being put on hold just to save him. And I just worry the same thing is going to happen if he beats Khabib.
Yeah. Because I don't think if he beats Khabib and just say Ferguson's next, I don't think it'll actually entertain him that much. I think he's a fighter and he'll fight, but I think it'll be like he'll not rush into thinking definitely I'm fighting him in 6 months' time. I think it'll be, well, I'll say what my options are, and I can honestly see McGregor going into acting or something very soon.
I'll put another name on the table. What about McGregor versus GSP?
Now that would now this is what I mean. Now that's what they may need to give to McGregor, because then McGregor would maybe it'd be huge for McGregor, and it would be like McGregor needs something bigger to focus on. I think, to keep it real. You know what I mean? To keep his training up and keep him occupied and keep him to push everything else to one side.
Like this, be honest, because I know my opinion. Do you think that interests Conor fighting GSP?
Possibly, yes. So. Because GSP is GSP now in the Hall of Fame or not yet?
Not yet.
He's gonna be.
I think a couple of years ago they made it so that only retired fighters are allowed in now.
Right. Okay. Yes, I do, because that would be in fact, really thinking about it, there'd be no one bigger if he's got on his win. Even Khabib. GSP from our point of view, when back in the day, really, he was the ultimate, wasn't he? Really, so I think it would interest him.
And we even saw with the Bisping fight, he's still capable of pulling big numbers.
Yeah,
he is.
I think he got Canadian
36, I think.
So, what kind of timescale would that fight even start getting talked about?
For next year, wouldn't it? Would have to be.
Yeah, GSP is like a 1 every 2 years sort of fighter now.
And then you've got two fighters who aren't fighting really, except like every couple of years or whatever, coming in fighting.
And getting the biggest payday and biggest ratings.
I would watch it, but something about that doesn't interest me. I don't know why.
Well, you know what this means, though? More interim belts.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm getting, honestly, the interim belts are just, it's annoying me now. And a lot of it is McGregor.
Yes.
A lot of it is McGregor. It's just, if you're a champion, defend your belt.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Be a true champion.
Yeah. And however much people kind of rubbish on Tyrone Woodley for not being this charismatic champion or whatever and winning how he has to win.
His belt
he's defending his belt, though. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He might not be the most flashy person here and there, but he's going in there and defending his belt. That's what he's doing. Would you not want to see McGregor Woodley?
No.
You'd rather... Well,
I would rather see him be in CPR, like.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think I would.
Here's a big one then, lads. Who's getting this?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Right. This is how I see it. McGregor, first round, second round. Anything after that, I think Khabib's gonna. I think Khabib would get it, but I'm actually gonna stand by it and go for McGregor, because I think he's gonna finish it first or second round, because he has to.
I'm gonna say that Khabib's gonna be like the Undertaker in Royal Rumble and keep that for a long time.
WrestleMania.
How he keep up?
I don't watch wrestling. I'm not a wrestling guy. Yeah, I think it's going to be Khabib. It's going to be Khabib.
I think Khabib is going to win the first round.
Okay.
I think he's going to manage to get him down. Possibly land a lot of ground and pound on McGregor. McGregor survives that round. It's what happens in the second. Mm-hmm. Either Conor's going to catch him and win the fight in that second round, or Khabib gets him down again and he just dominates the fight.
That's pretty much my prediction. It'll be probably either Conor's going to catch him coming in straight early on, or later on in the first round, or the second round. I think that's the hardest round probably for Khabib, the second round, and then after that, I think all the rest of him, which won't wear him out as much as it'll wear Conor out, and the grit and grind of his ground and pound, I think it'll be eventually too much for Conor, and I do think Conor might survive each round, get back up, but I think then he'll start taking them down,
yeah.
And I think it'll probably, after the second round, it'll be Khabib's by decision maybe.
The only thing I would say is Diaz took him down at a bigger weight, and in the second fight, the same weight, he kind of held his own. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm still can't see Khabib losing it.
No.
There is one guarantee I'm going to make from this fight, though. Somebody's stock is going to take a big hit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Either Khabib is going to be mocked for how bad he is in the stand-up, or McGregor's going to be savage for how he can't handle the ground game.
I think it'll be worse for McGregor. I think Khabib, if he loses it, he's still got future fights to come.
Yeah,
McGregor might be gone after that.
That's the thing when you publicise yourself as well so much, you know. Yeah. It's alright when you're winning. When you start losing, it all goes pear-shaped.
But if Khabib wins, then he's put that chapter out the way.
Yeah.
The only next fight is obviously Ferguson.
How long must I wait? So, our general opinions then of 229, and also the big question as well, will this break the UFC's record? Will this break Diaz-McGregor 2?
Possibly. Yeah, it'll be definitely up there. I can't say why not, definitely, because it's been a long time in the making.
I'll say yes, and then I'll say the only other one that beats that is probably the trilogy fight.
Yeah.
But it's not the only big fight which is taking place on Saturday, is it, Tim?
No, I'll be fighting just before that. About 10, 11 o'clock on the night of our time. Fighting it locally at Newton Aycliffe. Last man standing. I've had 2 years off as well for various different injuries. So, fighting a lad coming up from Wales. More of a wrestler. Likes his submissions. So, it'll be interesting for me to get back in there. Feeling fit, feeling good. Ready to go.
Have you got a whiskey to promote?
No. I'm not. I've kept a low profile compared to Conor. I think everyone does, to be fair. I've just knuckled down, got my head down, trained really hard for the fight. I'm fighting up a weight. I'm fighting a welterweight rather than a lightweight. He is a strong. We actually fighting at a catch weight because he's been fighting at 85 kilo in 80 summit. So we fighting at 79. So it is a big jump up for us really, but I think he's cutting weight. He's having to cut weight. I know we've weighed the day before. I'm not. I've been walking around the weight for however many weeks. So I think I'll be fine. Be fine. I've still got my experience, even with 2 year old. I'll be fine.
Predictions for this fight?
Tim's gonna win easy.
I'm gonna go for me. I think every fight I've watched him, right? I am a stand up and I want to stand up with him. Every fight I've watched of him, he gets the opponent to the floor pretty much straight away. Yeah. He's really, really good at it. I think he may have the strength over us. So I think at one point he may get us down the floor, and then I think I'll get the submission because I think he's more wrestling based. Mm-hmm. He submits, but he's also been submitted, and he's quite a tough opponent where he's never been knocked out. So I think probably I would go for maybe submission for me first round. Nice. But I am going for the stand up. I will be looking for the stand up, but I know he'll try everything to take me to the floor, and it's only a 20-foot cage, which isn't massive.
Yeah.
So for me to maneuver, it's enough. It's enough.
So that's all the time that we have there for this episode of It's Not Cage Fighting. Thank you very much for listening to our preview show. My name's been Karl Bainbridge. That's been Tim Close.
Thank you.
That's been Max Grant.
Right.
And we hope that you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back next month to cover UFC 230, whoever's headlining. Probably me and Max.